So on Talking Planning, we have already caught Newcastle's trams, but what if I told you there was a second one and it's right behind me? Let's go for a ride now. You might have been expecting this review for a little bit, as I recently checked out Sydney's latest trams, the Alstom Citadis 305s, and while talking about Australian tram history in general, I pointed out this tram imposter. Naturally, I just had to go and do a review of it. So today, I'm travelling on board Newcastle's famous tram, which is a bus, specially bodied to resemble a 1920s Newcastle tram. Tours depart Monday to Friday at 11 AM, and along with some weekend tours, there are more details which can be found on their website. The tour departs and arrives along Whaft Street near Queen's Wharf Hotel and the ferry stop. There's also a permanent sign at the stop location, so you can easily find it. Adult tickets cost $25 and you can pay with cash, credit card and New South Wales Dine and Discover vouchers while they last. I used one of my Discover vouchers for the trip, and our tour guide Chris says they've increased demand for the service, so bookings are recommended. At least that was the case when I filmed this video. The craftsmanship of this vehicle is actually quite impressive, with many period-correct design cues being incorporated into this replica. The dashboard, on the other hand, is straight out of a mid-1990s Hino, so my guess is it's based on a truck or bus of this period, perhaps maybe a BC 144. The coachwork was completed in 1995 by O'Neill's. So now that I've talked about the basics, let's get underway. Predictably, the tour starts by making our way along Wharf Street, where we head along to make our way through the rest of the city. On the day I caught the tour, the Hunter River was busy with a few ships making their way out to sea. After all, Newcastle is still the world's busiest coal port. Next, we start to make our way up Watt Street, past the beautiful Customs House Hotel. So let's have a quick listen as we head up the hill.
So I'll turn left here, we're heading down.
For those of you who've never been to Newcastle, or at least haven't been here in a very long time, the city has plenty of beautiful old buildings and of course beaches. So let's make our way along the foreshore now.
Newcastle Beach. Somewhere around low tide by the look of it. Always nice around the harbour, around the coast. Beautiful day. Normally we'll walk along the base of the cliff here on the right, but they're doing a skate bowl of sorts there. Can't walk along that section walking up the hill. It's blocked off at the moment, which is part of a walkway called Bathers Way, so got to do a detour up the hill here. So Newcastle Beach, surf club in front of us into the hill here. Water temperature's about 18 degrees, they said this morning, so might be warmer in than out. Was earlier anyway. A couple of our popular coffee shops here on the left, and then a grassed area here. It's called Pacific Park on the left. So if you walk up the end of Hunter Street, you'll come to that park. You can actually walk under the road here across to the beach and the kiosk. So we'll turn left here following the racetrack. Past one of our long-standing hotels here. Getting the windows clean. Noah's on the beach. Get some great views out of that hotel there. So right up the east end of town, of course, used to be pretty rough, dirty, run down, not very popular area to live, but really well cleaned up over the last 40 or so years. So a very sought after area. Anywhere near the water. As prices are a bit out of hand, they are everywhere around town. House prices, terrace houses, you probably won't get one of these under $1 million, probably, depending on the size and condition. $1 million doesn't go far these days.
With some commentary around housing thrown in for good measure, we now make our way past Fort Scratchley.
Free to go in, unless you do a tunnel tour up through the hills there. Did see one bit of action here, World War II. We were attacked by a Japanese submarine, which some people have said it was the 7th of June, but as far as I know, it's tomorrow the 8th. That's when it was, 8th of June 1942. It was attacked by a Japanese submarine here. Fired about 30 shells onto us here without too much damage. And we fired a few back from that hill. It was called Signal Hill originally. That's where our first lighthouse was, and our first coal mine shaft was sunk in that hill.
One thing that the coach builder did a cracking job of was the ability to capture the ambience and the spirit of the old trams. The timber internal panelling and seats are well done, and these are accented by period-correct signage. There are of course some modern concessions, including aluminium casement windows, but they really didn't go overboard and you're not going to find aircon on board this bus. As we make our way along the foreshore again, let's turn our view to the left and get a glimpse of the ocean.
Nobby's is also at the start of a walkway. These people are on the left here on the footpath. I mentioned Bathers Way. It runs from Nobby's Beach all the way to our most southern beach, Merriweather Beach. That's where we're heading as we come back over to Newcastle Beach. Beautiful day. So on the headland there up on the left, that's where we're heading. We're going to work our way up. Going to stop up the top of the headland there, just on the other side of the houses at the Anzac Walk. But we did just come down the hill here from the left not too long ago, past all those tall buildings, which are mainly residential apartments.
There is, of course, a pertinent reminder that spitting on board this vehicle is prohibited, and getting caught could net you a fine of £2, which in the 1920s was a significant penalty. Alas, I refrained from the egregious practice.
Just up here on the left, we'll go past the last stop for the light rail, Newcastle Beach stop. A couple of carriages in the distance, one heading this way, one going the other way. The red carriages came from Spain, our little carriages, and they're battery operated. And every time they actually pull up at the station, they get a bit of a top up in their batteries. Every station like this one has a grey arm out of the roof, and when they pull up underneath it, another arm goes up off the carriage roof and attaches to that, and they get a little bit of a charge while they're stopped. On our right here, the two-storey brown house is the original station master's cottage, and then on our right, just near that van, big clump of trees there, rusty structure. We found a convict lumberyard there, which would have been there in the early 1800s, accidentally discovered in the 1980s. Someone stumbled across some artefacts of sorts. We did some digging there, worked out we had a lumberyard and foundry for the convicts. We had convicts here from 1804 till 1823.
Making our way up Bolton Street, you can see there's an interesting interface between old and new buildings, which I think Newcastle has actually managed quite well.
It's one spot they've actually built an 8-storey apartment block over the top of that building and behind it, around the street to our right. One of many apartment blocks that happened or still happening around the city. Had a big construction boom on apartments. It's been a very busy city for a number of years, especially while the light rail was happening. A lot of our main street was closed for about 3 years, so we're sort of back to normal. But lots of things have happened. We've also had a new courthouse, we'll see later. A new building for the university city campus as well, we'll see later. It's been pretty hectic around town.
After a couple of minutes of low-speed twists and turns, we have climbed up the hill, and are now heading along Church Street. Surely this has to take the cake for Newcastle's least creatively named suburb. Despite the obvious naming convention, there are plenty of pretty properties and some rather lovely harbour views. Our guide was quite quick to point out his opinion on the latest apartment construction and the change it has had on the views, but in line with many planning court judges, the disrupts the view argument is taken with a grain of salt, so that commentary has been replaced by rambling by yours truly. Still, let's just appreciate the scenery as we climb the hill. One of my favourite stops was Jesmond House, which is a rather pretty heritage-listed property, not located anywhere near the suburb of Jesmond. Having climbed the hill, we descend partway once more and start the journey through King Edward Park.
Awesome Bay. Beautiful part of the world up there. So I have a little drive through King Edward Park. It's named after King Edward VII. It sits on about 46 acres in total. If you're driving here, this is the only way in. It's a one-way street. And we'll work our way up to the top of the hill. So yeah, magic day, beautiful winter's day. Got the Tasman Sea, that's directly in front of us.
Around here, I also managed a couple of magic snaps, including some shots of the cliffs and the beaches.
Where we're heading, left or south over the hill. Some of the big modern homes, especially with the view, you wouldn't, maybe at least the starting price about $4 million, and upwards from there. So a bit out of my range.
After more trees and more multi-million-dollar property discussion, we arrive at the entrance to the Anzac Walk, where our tour stops for a short break so you can enjoy the walk and take in the views. Because the Anzac Walk is only about a 30-minute walk from where I live, I decided to take the opportunity instead to poke around the bus in a little more detail. After a 15-minute stop, everyone climbs aboard and we make our way towards Merryweather. The surf is pretty shallow today, but a few people are having a go regardless at Bar Beach. But even if you're not a surfer, or you aren't mad enough to swim in the water in winter, there's a kiosk and plenty of spots to sit and enjoy the view.
So Merryweather Heights in front of us, some big homes up on the heights there. On the other side of Merryweather Heights we've got Burwood Beach. This whole area used to be known as the Burwood Estate when it was the mining area. Eventually inherited a lot of it by Edward Merryweather, hence the name here. We went left up through the heights, 10 minutes to the left we get Charlestown, where one of our main shopping centres is, Charlestown Square. Head off to Lake Macquarie, off to Sydney that way, one way to go. But we're going this way. We're up in the cliffs there moments ago, up the Anzac Walk. I think there's some dolphins there about 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock maybe. Just a few hundred metres there I think I saw something. Anyway, somewhere there.
So now that we're in Merryweather Heights, let's sit back and enjoy the ride.
Beach Hotel, or the Beaches we call it, was sold just over a year ago for the first time in 35 years, had the same owners. So I'll turn right here, we'll head right along the sand there, almost it's a one-way street up there, so it's, I've got to go this way. Past the surf club, end of Bathers Way too. If you walk from Nobbies to here, that's 6 kilometres roughly, with a big hill in the middle. They're very popular walkways, you can see. And a nice little wave there for the surfers. Big surfing culture around Newcastle, of course. We've got 2 young guys in the top 10 at the moment, or just, I think one's still in there, Ryan Cameron. Yeah, big surfing culture. Surfing and coffee, that's about it.
There's been lots of commentary in this video, so it was also good to get the odd short break to just take in the view and just listen to the sounds of the world. Or a diesel engine.
So we'll head away from the ocean, we'll head back towards the harbour. One of our little bowling clubs here on the right, Bar Beach Bolo. And the big park surrounding it is Empire Park.
From here, the tour hightails it back into town, but it is worth paying attention as we make our way into Honeysuckle, which is the site of much of the city's urban renewal.
Was the Crown Plaza built about 18 months ago. And back on the road we started on Wharf Road, right? Don't know what you were saying. Wharf Road. We'll go past a white house here on the right here, Argyle House it's called. It's actually a nightclub in there, it's been a nightclub for as long as I can remember. It was originally the head office of the Australian Agricultural Company, this house, and that company controlled all the coal mining in the area initially. That was the head office. Fairly new coffee shop there, we needed another coffee shop around Newcastle, but the coffee's good there.
And as we pass Argyle House, I started thinking about a colleague's last day party that I went to that ended up there. It was quite a wild night and an introduction to Newcastle nightlife, and quite different to how I usually spend my Friday nights.
Until they built Stockton Bridge, which was opened in 1971. So the point there, that's called Dyke Point. State Dockyard was on that sort of peninsula. Around the point, coal loaders are down that way, down the channel. There's that ship still heading down there, I think. Oh, look at the empty one. So we were looking directly down that channel when we were up at Streslakey Lookout. So back to our beautiful little harbour.
And we're now actually back at the start. So since we're now back in town, I'd like to say thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I will see you again soon.